Thank you so much, Anke. It strikes me just personally, my day job, because I also have one of those in addition to the consulting work I do, is in the media and entertainment space. And there is a very vivid debate, of course, around IP and the role of AI, while at the same time needing to adopt AI to be a more effective company that penetrates in a digital way the culture. And as I was listening to you, I was thinking of sort of, we talked about leadership inside the organization and leaders individually, but you're also talking about, Anke, just the leadership that companies need to undertake, right? In so many ways, the external world is forcing companies to really rethink the way in which they bring whatever policies or tools into their organization in a way that they can responsibly protect their workforce and also protect the kind of work that they're doing. So thank you so much for that, for bringing sort of that connection of the responsibility in adopting a tool, not simply thinking what the utility of that tool is. Okay, so I had promised that we would have enough time for questions. Oh, excellent. And so I expect a very long queue at that mic, so get ready, please.
Hello, my name is Dinzey-Flores. I'm half Chilean and half Peruvian. Why I'm saying that is because in Chile, they're tackling a subject about AI, and my question is about what do you think about including our digital ID in the Constitution? Because in Chile, they're doing it.
I am not sure in what way it would be included in the Constitution, but there should definitely be a legal or a law dealing with digital identities. They do exist, but they usually exist only not in a holistic way. There is nothing like, at least not in Germany as I know of, there's not a digital ID law, but there are, for example, digital government laws which mention that there exists something like a federal ID which you can use for it. But it should be a holistic law dealing with the topic of digital identity. And digital identity theft is, I think, indirectly dealt with in other laws, but there should be one law covering everything around digital identities. I see that. I never thought about the Constitution, and right now I can't think of how. I mean, we have Article #1 in our Constitution. The dignity of no human being should be violated, and that transfers to your digital dignity as well. So it does not need an extra article to do that, I think.
Okay, next question.
Good evening to the panelists and the rest of the participants. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights. I am Sue from ABB, working as a Global Diversity and Inclusion Specialist. My question is, while we acknowledge that the current focus is on responsible leadership and upskilling amongst employees, just from a future readiness standpoint, I wanted to understand from your experience, how do you see the evolution of, say, annual performance review after AI has become like sort of an unpaid intern colleague working next to all of us in our jobs? So how do you see the parameters evolving in how we look at performance review of employees? Thank you.
Interesting question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And you know, there's an involvement in at least 2, if not 3 ways. One is around how performance reviews themselves are being conducted. Yeah? So now many of you might have the 360s in their companies. More and more companies are already using Gen AI to support them in the write-ups, in the conversations, in the interpretation of data, in the next steps to make performance reviews no longer annual, but have it to be something that you can use with employees, with leaders, much more frequently. That's number one. But your question goes to the core of, in a hybrid work environment, yeah? Am I maybe also evaluating the Gen AI, or is it the person that I'm evaluating differently because of their usage? And what I think will happen, I'm seeing early signs of this, that the parameters based on which leaders are being assessed will be amended. They'll need to become more holistically the word that we've been using before and include parameters around the adaptability and the speed with which they are using tech, the ethical boundaries in which they are using tech, the question around their critical thinking abilities and examples for how they applied this judgment when using tech. So to your precise question, I believe that there will be a strong shift in leadership models that lay as the foundation of performance management around the world. Yeah, very well observed. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tabia Hussain. I am a master's student in Information and Communication Engineering. I have an opportunity to involve some research and currently came to know that in Japan there is some ongoing research on the AI platforms, and they found that whoever the person using the AI for their regular life, professional or personals, their brain capacity for working is much lower than the regular person who are not using the AI. So it's not that it is challenging that we do not need to use the AI in our professional or personal life. Such like a leader we have already, if this decreasing our brain capacity, then how long we can use this in further?
As a neuroscientist, I have to, and then I let the other panelists. So indeed, and I've seen more than this one study around our ability of our brain to function and focus after a time in which we were asked ourselves to research articles, interpret them, and gave an answer. So basically there was a test around, can you then recite the different articles, what you think about them, and literally testing the functions of the brain with regards to attention and memory, compared to after you've just let simply AI do this. That's why I'm literally adamant. There are few things in the world other than inclusion that I'm so adamant about, which is the critical thinking portion. We need to be aware that we will lose some of our abilities just because we don't train them anymore. The brain is like a muscle, metaphorically, that needs to be trained. If we don't train it anymore on research, on asking questions, it will lose its ability to think. Therefore, critical thinking and ways to enhance it will be absolutely essential. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to add something to that from two perspectives. I just read about a study where they also tested students who used Gen AI to create text. And several minutes after they created the text and they read the text, they had no memory at all of what was in the text. So if I know that it's very easy, fast and efficient to create intelligent looking text with ChatGPT or similar tools. But if it leads to me not even knowing what is in the text, it's probably not a very good idea. So it's very challenging for leadership to find the right balance between efficiency and making your own people stupid. So that is one example, and I come from a tech background. I also worked 15 years in the ICT industry, and I'm very close to that tech community and to the IT security community as well. And at the Munich Security or Information Security Conference early this year, there was one topic particularly discussed, and that is using AI for coding. You can replace lots of coding personnel with AI, relatively okay-ish, but you always need an experienced coder to quality check, because sometimes AI just codes something very stupid and dangerous for the company. So you can get rid of entry-level personnel and coders, but you need the experienced one. That works fine for now, but what in 5 years? So where are the new experienced ones? Where are they coming from when we don't hire any new ones anymore? So we have to not only think about short-term wins, but also about medium and long-term consequences, and losing talent And that is indeed an ICT security issue, because you are then an easy target and cyber threats are growing, not shrinking.
Go ahead.
Hello everyone, my name is Matilda Molokela and I'm from South Africa, but I'm studying economics in the US. My question is in regards to AI's negative impact on global warming because of the amount of electricity it uses. How can leadership contribute to reducing this negative impact on our planet? Thank you.
Oh, wow, that's an excellent question that I would want us to address on a sustainability panel, is actually what I'd like to say. But there were some other sessions where we talked about external risks around climate change and how companies are looking at developing plans to deal with their sort of carbon footprint and their use of resources. I think that it shouldn't be just AI specific, it should be part of the broader conversation of sustainability and ESG practices for any company. So short answer, but I think it's a very specific topic I wouldn't be able to answer.
Well, I'm dealing with the topic for a longer time. Even in the Bundestag, sustainability and digitalization was one of my, my strong topics, and I was inquiring the government about it, but also reading studies about it. So I know that all the big digital oligopolies are correcting their predictions on when they will be climate neutral. They eliminated all those goals because of AI. Their use of water and energy is just skyrocketing. And the question was, what can companies do about it? And one answer I would give to that is, think in every single case, do you really need it? Yeah? In many cases, AI is just so hype that very often companies, but even public authorities, tend to just do it. And very often it makes no sense, and it even leaves the user no choice. So when I Google something, I get always an AI summary, although I may not even want it. So we should develop applications which not automatically and per default always include AI components, when there may be lots of users who do not even want it. So you can opt in instead of opt out. With Google you can opt out if you add to your search -AI, then you don't get that summary, but nobody knows it, so it's not really working. But we have to think about it. When I did an inquiry to the federal government several times in several years, what do you use AI for? My first question was always, what problem is this AI system meant to solve? And the first 2 years, I did not get an answer on this first question, and it says it all, because very often they don't even know what problem it is meant to solve. And if you don't know that, AI is probably not the solution to your problem.
Great, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Victoria Howard, working for Deutsche Telekom, shaping our new AI products. So AI is in the center of our corporate strategy, and I definitely want to better prepare myself to be a better leader in this constantly changing world. So if we look ahead in the next 3 to 5 years, my question is, what kind of leadership qualities or traits will become obsolete because of this new era, because of constantly changing technology? And I have no clue how things are going to be changed in the next 5 years. What's your advice on how can I make myself more future-proof as a leader?
Yeah, I'm going to pick that up, and you can, of course, add on to that. So I think the question probably is twofold. What becomes obsolete, and where can I focus on? So what becomes obsolete, I think, and this is not just in the era of AI, but also in the terms of how leadership develops, is, and I'm going to put it on a plagative way, the old style of leadership. So if we talk about top-down leadership, if we talk about hierarchical ways of working in terms of junior, senior, etc., I truly believe this will become more obsolete because we have more focus on expert journeys, which will help us then to focus on, for example, AI data experts, but also software experts, etc., whatever is needed. And those will have a way stronger voice regardless of the title they're holding, because it speaks about what they know and what they can bring to the table and not the position they're holding. So I do believe that that's an essential point. Where we can upskill is on our critical thinking, you mentioned that, but also on the coaching aspect. Name it servant leadership, name it coaching, but really understand what each and every individual needs to bring the best to the table and how to implement the technologies we're having. It's not just AI, it can also be RPAs, can be lower forms of digitization, automation, etc., how to bring that to the table in the best extent possible and how to coach everyone to use what they need in their respective way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Hernandez. So thank you so much for the insightful conversation. My passion are really in regards to people and technology. I'm working in Siemens, and I'm really involved in so many creation of artificial intelligence solutions. And to be honest, I'm really struggling with adoption. So one of the questions is, how do you think that leaders can really help with the adoption of the solution that we are creating? Second one, and also the diversity ambassador at Siemens, how do you think that AI can help to promote inclusion?
I can just share a few examples on the first one, and then happy for others to take the second one as well. But on the first one, what we have seen is impactful is just to implement it in our daily life works and to offer formats for our employees to use them. So for example, what we have implemented are hackathons or Gen AI challenges, etc., and give the room to employees to really use those and make it fun. So everybody loves a little bit of competition. So have scoring boards, have leadership boards, etc., on who has, used certain AI solutions the most, who has come up with a fun song for a team challenge or anything, who has used it for job descriptions, and then have those competitions and also reward output, number one. Number two is to really have someone with the knowledge, the tech knowledge, sit next to someone who does not have it, but who has process knowledge to really, because we see many employees struggling in terms of, I have my daily work, but where do I even see potential to adopt AI to it? And then we just combine two experts in terms of functional and processes with tech knowledge, and then those two can really identify the potential to have AI make daily doings and daily tasks easier. And as a third part for the learning part, in terms of not just learning but adopting it, we implemented, for example, deal hours, drop everything and learn, and have those in the calendar from the top management, send out a blocker so everybody makes it a priority, and then either use it yourself, just use that hour, or form small groups, have hands-on experiences and sessions with experts so that everybody in the session within that hour a week can just use the tools you're offering in your company.
I would like to answer on the second question, the inclusion. I start with the contrary. Companies can do something wrong and increase exclusion, for example, if they don't consider the bias topic enough. And that starts very simple. I'm very often at conferences, and then company representations or presentations from CEOs, CTOs in most cases. They have AI pictures on all of them, and they look extremely stereotypical. And this excludes people who see those pictures, and that can marketing communication, product communication, the pictures on everything. If they look very stereotypical, sexualized, etc., that is increasing exclusion. But you can indeed use AI to improve inclusion in many different ways. For example, the topic of accessibility. For hearing impaired people, you can have automatic transcripts, you can have immediate subtitling, you can even have people choose their language. You can very easily offer something like, explain this, you know, the long agreements you all tick, yes, I read them and you didn't? Yeah, the consent form. I mean the long stuff with the cookies things. You know what I mean, yeah? The one everybody accepts and nobody has read about it. Disclaimers, they are always in a legal language really nobody understands. And AI can help to translate that in very normal language. And in Germany, we are very big bureaucracy. Normal people very often don't understand forms. And if then you come from a different country and you don't speak the language so well, you are lost entirely. I help lots of refugees, and I very often, you know, and you can use chatbots as forms, and then you can chat with the form. And when the form is asking me, do you get social aid for paragraph such and such, and I have no idea what it is, I can ask the form and say, what do you mean with it? And then it says, I don't know, Hartz IV, Germans know what I mean. And then I say yes or no. And I can enter in the form data in just any format. I can, for my birthday, I can write a numbers format, I can write it in words. And if I write something the form does not understand, the form is asking me back. And that makes for forms having a much higher quality when they reach the authority, so people can have more access to their rights and get social support, for example. Or they can learn a different language easier and then get it easier into the workplace. So there are many, many, many ways where AI can really help with inclusion.
And if I made one very specific point to me, and you may call me an optimist, but I'm not naive. Gen AI will help, in particular, women conquer areas that before were largely male-dominated. You mentioned coding before, and we can be critical about how Gen AI helps coding, etc., right? But now the skill is no longer the deep technical knowledge that we might not have as many women savvy in as we would like to. The skill now becomes much more a precise prompting, a thinking ahead, a holistic understanding of the problem, where I think that women will have a unique advantage.
I want to say one way in which I've used it on an inclusion front,
Great
just to
question.
be very specific, is that for many months I had wanted to understand what are job descriptions like actually included by way of language and whether there was a bent toward bias, right, in them. And so there's two ways you can approach it. One is you can get a tool that helps you write them proactively. And then another way is that you can do an audit, which can be very work intensive. So we've had the tool that sort of writes them proactively, but what sort of tends to happen is that then, because I work in a very specific kind of niche industry, is that people then modify those because it's this thing that is really a skill that is so. So one of the things that I did is that, and then it only took like a couple of days, was to sort of globally audit what the final job description was and identify the instances where there was bias and compare that to sort of who the final candidates were on the slate, right? I have no technical ability whatsoever to like create those spreadsheets to do that, and also don't have the people power to do that across the globe. But it was very convenient to be able to just sort of ask AI to sort of look at all of our published, right, roles, and then to help me understand what from the spreadsheets that I get reported to sort of put those two sets of information together. So I think that there are ways in which AI is about how do we leverage that tool to do the things that we're critically thinking and understand are not working well in our organization. That's the potential power of it, but like any technological tool, we have to tell it how to help us, right? I tell my phone what to do to help me organize our life. It doesn't offer automatically to do that. Yep. Okay, 2 last questions so we can end exactly on time. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Isabelin. I'm a student from Cambodia, but I study here in HTW Berlin. My question, I know that it's a stupid question, and you can ignore it.
No stupid
It's off
question.
topic.
No stupid question.
It's off topic. But Dr. Sperling Magro says something, focus on the being, then on the doing. And then the last slide of director from Mercedes says something, start now, like now on day one. I'm just curious what you are leaders, what your daily life look like from morning to the evening, and what do you do when you spare time? What does leaders do on the weekdays? Like when you woke up, what do you do? And then before you go to bed, what do you do? I think habits might change life, and I want to be like you one day, like sit there and become a director. But what do you do to become like this? Thank you.
Thank you. Who wants to start? Anke, bitte.
You know, I think we all feel so flattered. I'm going to speak of the other participants too. We're going to invite you either virtually in whichever way or form to a day in our life. So we'll make a separate session and we'll share all the details with you.
Very good. Yeah. Last question. No
Sounds
pressure.
like there might be lots of interest in that.
We'll invite the whole room to spend.
It's Narelle Hooper. I wanted to offer to build, it's been so interesting, just to build an example in Australia of a company which was digitally focused. Now their entire strategy is around, arced around AI. And the CEO, they've been running free workshops for anyone that was interested. The CEO explained how using Claude had assisted his performance reviews, and it showed him, he uploaded his profiles and his transcripts of the conversations, and it was showing us, had the project to help improve that, and it showed him where he was talking too much, where he wasn't actually listening to the feedback, and really improved the process of performance reviews. And it helped not just him, but it helped the people in that. So I wanted to offer that. And then the other example they're now using to assist in coaching at a football club as well for the players. So I just wanted to build on some examples you had.
Thank you. That's super helpful. All right. So that's our panel for today. I'm walking away with a lot of good nuggets. Be before you do. Remain adaptive. Continuous learning is important. Responsibility when thinking of AI and any tools that we bring into the organization or think of adopting and thinking of the impact on our society. And I just wanted to thank everyone again for being here today. We did it. We are done with all of the formal panels for the Global Summit. Irene, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. I will see you at dinner, right, Larry? Is that what comes next? We're done. Ciao. Auf Wiedersehen. Adios. Hasta luego.